Good afternoon, morning, folks. Mike Wells, Your World Explorer. Today, we're going to take wood from a tree and produce a pen out of it. Now, for starters, you have to have cured wood from a tree, and it helps if there's some figuring or some really unique features in that wood, like waviness and stuff that comes from like a location like this on the tree or the crotch of a tree. This is an oak tree, but we're not going to be using an oak tree today. Over here we have some oak branches that are curing, and they're elevated off the ground to keep grubs and subterranean termites from entering into that wood. Now we can still get grubs in this wood because they come from the beetles. The beetle might land on the wood, burrow in, and then you have problems. But we're going to try to fight that throughout the year with a little bit of insecticides on that particular bunch of wood. Now over here you see the live oak from a tree we cut down on one of the neighbor's properties. This over here is she oak, but it's the light wood. In the very center you can see the heartwood of the she oak. Out here there's a bunch of spalting. So this has been sitting literally in a forest for about, I think, 8 years already, and that's as far as it's gotten. This is the heartwood of the same tree, of the trunk of that tree. It looks really, really pretty. If you look up close, you can see all these details and these features that make this wood very unique and desirable. Again, this is she oak. So I'm pretty sure it grows all over the place in Florida. So you could easily get a hold of some of this wood. Said that. But this over here is new. It's fresh. I just got it last month. So let's go take a look at our setup. First, I want to show you the cutoff. Okay, over here is the piece that I have cut off of one of these big chunks already. This is citrus, and it's been sitting for quite some time curing. I think about 2 years almost. So it's a little bit far in the curing process, but it's got a lot of spalting in it, and you can see there have been some bugs that chewed into that particular chunk of wood. But over here, some of these other pieces of wood are more solid. Yeah, so let's go look at the chunk, what I do with this after I pull a chunk off. Here's a really nice chunk of live oak. What I end up doing is I cut it up into manageable chunks like this, and then I wrap it in plastic. But first, before I wrap it, I spray insecticide all over the piece. And if it's already got good spalting, then I make sure that I wrap it dry. But if it doesn't have good spalting yet, I will wrap it wet, and eventually it will sit in my garage wrapped with the insecticide and the moisture creating spalting. I don't know if it's mold or fungi or something. It's one of those two, but they produce all of those really nice lines that you see in the wood that make for really nice pens. Here are a bunch of chunks that I'm going to be using down the road to pour resin into. These will come out really nice. That's for another video. Here's my little setup. I have the she oak here in an old container, but these are the blanks. Now, none of these blanks have been drilled yet. So what we would do is, this is about 2.5 inches, and this is almost 1 inch by 1 inch. What we would do is drill a 7mm hole in down the center, and I'll show you that one day. And then we would insert this cylinder in there, and that's the exact length that the actual finished product will be. Now, I've already taken and filled 2 blanks with their cores, and I'm ready to actually flatten out those ends. The way I'm going to do that is with a special drill bit right here. So basically this goes right in the middle. So this piece goes right in the center here, and well, try from this side. And then this will spin until we get it to flatten out this end up against the very end of that core. Alrighty, this is about what we got here. We flattened out those ends. This one didn't need any flattening, but it is going to need a special type of repair done, because if you look in there, when I turn this, it's going to have some gaps that need to be filled, but I'll show you how to do that. Same thing here. This side is looking real good, and this side, I don't know if it's going to need a gap fill right there. If you can see these details, boom, right there. So let's get to it. So I'll go ahead and just loosen these slightly, pull this back. This is the mandrel here. That's my special locking nut. And these are just gap fills right here that help keep it locked on. They're like kind of like washers. Go ahead and set my piece on and just kind of work it on there. Pop a fill, and then put my locker nut on there. Don't need to tighten it too tight. Get it going. Now I've made sure the point is directly in the center of the mandrel. And then let me get my cutting tool. It's just an old chisel. This thing is like from the 60s, I think, but I've repaired it. It's good steel. It's good enough anyway, so I might have to sharpen this real quick. Alright, I'm back. I'm ready to go. I just turn it on. And my piece that I need to hold my tool is right here. So we'll just start with an edge. So I'm going to do this for a while. This is extremely hard wood. It's like a 2920 on the Jenka hardness scale. And you can clearly see this tool is having a hard time getting through that wood. So it's going to take me some time. I really need some new carbide cutting tools. At some point in the future, I'll get those when I can afford to. But for now, I'm just going to use this ancient tempered steel. So I'll show you in a couple minutes what this is supposed to look like. Took that excess off that one side. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side over here. Alright, so I barely got anything chewed away, but it's starting to take shape. Alright, look at this thing. Look at that wood, folks. That is some really pretty looking stuff. So I've been at it for a good minute here. I'm going to be at it for a good few more minutes. Now I'm really going to chisel it out. Alright, look at that, huh? That's starting to really look fascinating. Alright, we are looking pretty good here. Zoom in a bit. Now you can really see the details starting to show. There's a lot of darkness in there, which I find that interesting. That looks like a form of spalting, I guess. I don't know. But there are a few cracks that you can see. I'm going to be filling those with super glue. There's this flaw right there. I'm going to take this powder, this wood, these wood shavings. Now I'm going to get my super glue. And this is the liquid super glue. I might be running low, so I'm not sure. Let's see here. Let's get down in there. Now you might say, oh, that's going to make that little bushing stick to the pin blank, but I'm not worried about that because it easily separates. And then I cover the top and then I tap it in. And I'll let it sit. Now these cracks that you see, I'm going to go ahead and start backfilling those with some super glue. And I'll let that sit and dry. Only going to take a couple minutes. Alright, now the super glue is dry. So now we're ready to, I want to chip away at this again. Alright folks, here we are. Backfilled some of those cracks. You can see the super glue that is shining right there. Also this edge here, I fixed it. It looks pretty good. That's the repair spot right there. So yeah, I'm going to backfill this a little more and then we'll go ahead and start sanding because this is ready. All right, here we are. Super glue has dried. Now I'm going to start sanding because this is about the shape that I would like. I'll sand first using a very coarse grit. Let's see, this is like a 200 grit, I think, something like that. Maybe less. Yeah, it's a 220 grit, so you can use these for quite some time before they wear out, but I'm just going to sand this down to smooth it out, and then I'm going to switch to a different grit, sand it and smooth it out, and we'll be good to go. All right. This is after the 220 grit, so it's not looking bad at all, but you can still see there are some obvious, let's see, fissures that are going to need a little more glue to fill. I might even take some of this powder, this dust here that you see, and stuff it in there and then put the glue in. So we'll do that, but I got to go through one more grit. Here's our 400 grit. So we'll get going on that. Alrighty. Now let's zoom in, take a look. You obviously see these lines. They come out, so I kind of buff it with a paper towel. Now you can see them a little bit less. But look at the grain. Look at that wood. Look how beautiful the wood is. What I'm going to do now is do an entire treatment of super glue over the top of this. And I'm going to do it by sticking this onto a stick. Okay, so this stick has, I glued this thing onto there. It's like old, what do you call that? Sandpaper. And I'm just going to stick this in here and go and turn it like this. So now it will stay on there. I can turn it upside down and it doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, I've already filled that void with some sawdust or some sandpaper dust, and now I'm going to use the super glue and cover this whole thing with liquid super glue. You don't want to use the gel super glue, you want to use liquid super glue. So this, it says liquid. That's what you use. This Loctite super glue has been the best by far, as I've learned over the years. So that super glue is curing. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this mess up. Also, I want that super glue to be extremely hard so that I can work it. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick the second. Oh yeah, this thing is definitely. All right, now it's on the mandrel. I'll put my spacers in there. All right, that's back on. Let me tighten it. Now it's on, and I'll begin my cutting. And this, like I said, this wood is extremely hard, so it'll take a minute. Woo! Let's see what happened there. Wow, look at that. Big chunk came off, but it didn't go all the way down to the core, so I'm very lucky. All right, we're getting close. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at all those features in the wood. Just incredible. There are the voids. I've been filling it with this very fine dust that was produced from sanding this with a 220 grit sandpaper. Now I'm going to take the liquid super glue and go in. All right, this glue is dry. We're ready to go ahead and sand that and then apply the final coat to seal the wood. All right, the first one, the fat one, we're going to take that off and put it back on the mandrel. Now we'll get to it. Okay, here we are. The reason we use that super glue to seal the wood is so that when you handle the pen, the oils from your hands don't get onto the pen and soak into the wood. So we're trying to avoid that. I still got to take some of these and like that right there, that right there. Still got to mill this down a little bit further, but I'm going to use a finer grit to do so. So we still got some more work to do. Okay, now I just worked the 220 grit and the 400 grit, and we're about where we want to be. So now I'm switching over to the 600 grit. Okay, this is what your 600 grit is going to come out to look like. Not bad, huh? That's so pretty. But for 600 grit, it looks pretty polished. Now we're going to switch over to, I think, 1,000, then 1,500, and then 3,000, then 6,000, and then 12,000. And here's 1,000. That's what it looks like. Not bad. Got some dust on there, so if I take a paper towel and just wipe it with the paper towel, and then it clears the dust. All right, I gotta say, coming out pretty nice. Let's take a look. Got one more polishing grit to use, and this thing will be done, but it looks pretty dang good as is. This is the final polishing grit. I think it's 12,000, I believe. And here we are. Here we are, folks. Very pretty. I'm going to finish up the slim part, the slim side, and then we're going to put this pen together. Here's the slim side again. We're going to go ahead and sand her down. Looky look. Okay, that was the final polish grit, and my lordy lord. This is a beautiful pen. But yeah, this is a fancy she oak. So let's put this pen together. Today we're going to learn how to assemble a slimline pen kit using this pen press. So first I want to take all of these parts out of their plastic bags and set them all aside. I'm not going to need these blank cores. Those will be for future use. Now I'm going to open it up. Right here's my flat side. This side right here has an indentation where this tip will go into. Now before I put the tip in there, in order to keep the tip from being scratched by this piece right here, I'll take one of the little plastic bags and just put it around. I folded it and then I put it around the tip because I don't want to damage that tip at all. I don't want to get any scratches or anything on it. So over here on the left side, I'm going to remove those blocker spacer pieces, and now I'm going to go ahead and get the fat side because that's going to be the side that goes into the head. So there we go. I set it right there and I let this draw back to, you can see the flat side where I've protected it. So I'll put these spacers, 4 of them. If you look, I could initiate 4 of them. I'll have to get this started. Now you gotta watch because you don't want this to get crooked. So I'll keep it straight while we're pushing it in. Now I'm gonna need to pull this back and add another spacer. That way it stops this piece from going any further. And I'm just going to do this very slowly, kind of. You don't want to damage your pen until it meets up with the head, and then we're done with that pushing session. Now I'm going to take away 3. So now there's 4 that have been taken away, and I've only got 2 of these spacer pieces left that are in there. I want to take the mechanism, the actual mechanical piece, and I want to set it the bronze side or whatever metal that is. I want to put it right there. Now I'll let it go back slightly. If we can get 1 spacer in there, which I just did right there, and that's what we'll do. Now I want to go ahead and make sure this thing is guided in. So you got to kind of hold it, and you want to go all the way to where that line is literally right at the beginning there. Right there. That's all you need. And now we're done pushing. Okay? So this side is ready to go, and we didn't scratch if we look here, we didn't scratch the pen head at all. Now we're going to polish it, I guess. Let's go ahead and polish it a little bit. Get some of those fingerprints off so you can really see what's going on. But it's not scratched. It's good to go. And this is the copper color. This isn't gold or anything like that. It's just a copper color. Now we're going to do the other side. We'll have to put, the right amount of spacers. And also here, I think I want my plastic bag on this side again. Maybe I'll double it up. And we're going to go ahead and we got to grab this piece, and we got to grab this piece. We'll go ahead and set this through like that, and I want the padded, I want the padded side to be the side that is going against the head of the back. So that piece, I want the padded side to be pushing against that. That way we don't scratch it either. So I'm going to set this in there, hold it in place, and our pen press does most of the work when it comes to getting this thing perfectly aligned. So our pen press, it doesn't look straight, so let's straighten it out. I'm going to go ahead and do that and do it slowly. Pretty good, pretty tight, good to go. Now, this is the easiest part, okay? We're going to take our ink barrel, slide it into the mechanical barrel, and then hold that and then tighten it because it screws in. Now it pops in and out of the head. And then we'll take this little ring, slide it over the mechanical barrel, and then this side should slide easily over the mechanical barrel, and then you're done. All right, now this is the pen in the sunlight. It's a beautiful pen. Let's look at it closely. This really looks fancy. Very, very nice. If you're interested in this pen, I'm going to have it available for sale on eBay. Link will be in the description. From concept to completion. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as that helps the channel grow. And stay tuned, because I'm going to be turning all kinds of different pens and showing you how every piece of wood can be unique in what you can produce from that wood. Have a great day.